they figured it out. Not because you told them, not because you made a scene or issued a warning or gave them some dramatic moment they could point to as the turning point. They figured it out the hard way through the specific humbling experience of underestimating you and then watching that underestimation cost them something real. And now they're recalibrating. I want to sit with that for a second because there's something deeply satisfying about this energy. And I also want to describe it precisely because it's not what people usually imagine when they think about someone coming back. It's not romantic necessarily. It's not desperate. It's something more interesting than that. It's corrective, like someone who walked into a room convinced they knew exactly what they were dealing with, and then something happened, something you did or didn't do or said or refused to say that revealed the gap between their assumption and the reality of who you actually are. And that gap was significant enough to stop them, to make them reassess, to send them back to the beginning of their understanding of you and start over. That's what's happening in August. Multiple people, multiple recalibrations, happening at different paces, in different forms, but all pointing in the same direction. Let me describe what the underestimation actually looked like, because I think you need to see it named clearly before we talk about what's happening now. Someone, and this might be more than one person, this might be a pattern rather than a single instance, decided at some point that they had you figured out. They saw the patience and concluded softness. They saw the composure and concluded indifference. They saw the way you don't chase, don't plead, don't perform your emotions publicly, and they decided that meant you didn't feel things deeply. They confused your discretion with shallowness. That was their mistake. Because what they didn't account for, what almost nobody accounts for until it's too late, is what Virgo looks like when a line gets crossed. Not the Virgo who is managing their response. Not the Virgo who is still giving benefit of the doubt. The Virgo who has run the full analysis, reached a conclusion, and simply stopped. No announcement, no explosion, no lengthy explanation of what they did wrong. Just stopped. And that stopping, that clean, quiet, absolute withdrawal of your energy and attention and presence, that is the thing that finally communicates what all the words in the world hadn't managed to. They felt the absence of you and understood for the first time what they had actually been in the presence of. Hold on. Because there's something specific about the timing of this, about why August specifically, that I want to describe. It's not that they suddenly became smarter or more emotionally aware. It's that enough time passed for the reality of your absence to settle in. And there's a particular window, and I keep feeling it concentrated in the first half of August where something crystallizes for them, where it moves from a vague discomfort into a clear understanding. They made a mistake, not a small one. And the question that's sitting in the air of this reading, the one I keep circling back to, is not whether they realize it. They do. The question is what you're going to do with that realization when it shows up at your door. Because it's showing up in different forms for different people watching this. For some of you, it's already arrived. For others, it's in motion right now, building toward a moment of contact. For others, it's coming in the second half of August, slightly delayed, slightly more developed in terms of what they're bringing back with them, but it's coming. And I want to prepare you for it in a specific way. There's an image I keep seeing. Someone walking back down a road they left confidently. And the difference between how they walked it going and how they're walking it returning is everything. Going, there was a certainty, a slight arrogance even. The posture of someone who believes they know what they're leaving and has decided it isn't worth staying for. Returning, different. The pace is slower, more deliberate. There's something in the body language of someone who is returning, having learned something they didn't know before. A slight lowering of the chin, a weight to the steps that wasn't there before. They've been humbled, not destroyed. I want to be clear about that. This isn't someone coming back broken. This is someone coming back corrected. And there's a meaningful difference. Broken people come back needy, unstable, looking to be rescued. Corrected people come back with something to offer, with a different quality of presence, with the specific value that only comes from having made a mistake real enough to actually teach something. Whether what they're bringing back is worth receiving, that's the question only you can answer. The more I sit with this, the more I keep finding something I wasn't expecting. You're not as surprised as they think you are. And I want to stay here because this is actually the most interesting thing in this reading. When this contact comes, when they reach back out, when the message arrives or the conversation happens, or you feel the shift in their energy toward you, your first internal response is not going to be shock. It might look like composure from the outside. It might read as calm to whoever is watching. But internally, it's something more specific than calm. It's vindication, quiet, private. Not something you'd say out loud, not something you'd perform for anyone, but present. The very particular feeling of having known something, having felt the truth of something about a situation or a person, and then watching external reality slowly arrange itself into alignment with what you already understood. You knew. You knew when they left, or when they pulled back, or when they showed you who they were in that specific moment, that this wasn't the end of the story. Not because you were waiting for them specifically, you weren't sitting around hoping, but because you understood the arc of it, because Virgo sees patterns, because your analytical mind had already run the projection and arrived at a conclusion that your emotions were still catching up to, and now the external world is catching up to your internal knowing. That feeling, the specific quiet of being right about something that mattered, let yourself have that. I want to talk about who you've become in the time since this person or these people made their miscalculation. Because this is not a story about them coming back and you being exactly where they left you. That's not the reading I'm getting. What I'm getting is that the time in between, however long it was, whatever it looked like on the surface, that time did something in you, not dramatically. It's more like, you know how metal gets stronger through a specific process of heating and cooling and pressure, not weaker, stronger, more refined, more precisely itself. The process is uncomfortable, but the result is something with more integrity than what went in. That's what happened to you. You went through something, the disappointment, the recalibration of your own expectations, the quiet work of recentering yourself after being moved off your foundation, and you came out of it with something you didn't have before. A clearer sense of what you'll accept, not as a rigid rule, as a felt sense, a somatic knowledge in your body, in your gut, in the way your energy responds to certain situations of what is for you and what is not, what you're willing to navigate and what you are genuinely done with. And that clarity, that precise, hard won, nobody gave it to you clarity is what they're walking back into, not the version of you they left. A version that has been through the process and come out more refined. No, wait, let me go deeper here, because I think there's something I'm skating past. The people in this reading, the ones coming back, the ones recalibrating, they're not all the same energy. And I want to try to distinguish between them because I think it matters for how you receive what's coming. There's one energy that's coming back with genuine remorse, a real interior shift, not just the discomfort of loss, but an actual reckoning with their own behavior. This one has done some version of looking honestly at what they did and feeling the weight of it, not performing contrition, actually feeling it. This is the energy worth your time and discernment, not necessarily your forgiveness, not necessarily your full reopening, but worth a real assessment. And then there's another energy, coming back for different reasons. Coming back because something they moved toward didn't work out the way they planned. Coming back because the alternative to you turned out to be lesser than they expected. Coming back not from growth, but from the elimination of other options. Virgo, you need to know the difference. And here's the thing, you're equipped to know the difference. More equipped than almost any other sign. Because you notice inconsistencies. You track behavior over time. You feel the gap between what someone says and what their patterns demonstrate. Use that. Don't be so flattered by the return that you forget to ask why they left. There's something about August specifically that keeps coming through, and I want to name it. August has a particular energy for Virgo this year. It's a month of arrivals. Not all of them are people. Some of them are realizations. Some of them are opportunities that have been waiting for you to have enough clarity to see them properly. Some of them are conversations that have been delayed long enough that by the time they finally happen, both people are ready for them in a way they weren't before. What I keep getting is a sense of things coming due, like a season where multiple threads that have been developing separately all begin to converge, all begin to show their connection to each other. And you're going to be standing in the middle of that convergence at some point this month, and the view from there is going to be clarifying. You're going to understand something about your own life in August that you've been circling without quite reaching. And the people coming back, the returning energies, the recalibrations, they're part of that understanding. Not the whole of it, part of it. Context, contrast, evidence of how much you've changed by showing you how they respond to the version of you that exists now versus the version they originally encountered. I want to say something directly. You are not one to play with. And I don't mean that as a warning to issue to others. I mean it as something you need to hear about yourself in a way that lands in the body rather than just the mind. Because I think there's still a part of you that softens that truth, that qualifies it. That adds an internal asterisk that says, but I'm also accommodating, also patient, also someone who will extend grace for a long time before reaching a limit. All of that is true, and it doesn't contradict the first thing. Both things are fully true simultaneously. You are generous and patient and willing to work with people and see the best in situations, and you have a line. And when that line is crossed, when the accumulated evidence finally exceeds what your integrity can accommodate, the response is so clean, so complete, so utterly free of drama that it shocks people who thought they understood you. That's the part they didn't account for. The cleanness of it. They expected something they could negotiate with, some residual emotional access they could use to re-enter the situation. And instead, they found a door that had simply closed, not slammed, not locked in anger, just gently, firmly, completely shut. And now they're knocking. The last thing, how you receive what's coming in August matters. not because you owe anyone a particular response, not because forgiveness is mandatory or reunion is required, but because how you receive things is a reflection of who you've become, and you've become someone who can hold complexity without collapsing into it. Who can hear someone out without immediately either shutting them down or letting them fully back in? Who can stand in the middle of a complicated moment and respond from her actual center rather than from old patterns? Take your time. That's the specific advice I keep getting for you in this window. Not to rush toward resolution or closure or any particular outcome, to let each thing develop at the pace it actually needs. To resist the Virgo urge to process everything immediately, to analyze the situation fully, to reach a conclusion and act on it before the full picture is available. Let August show you what it has. All of it. The returnings and the arrivals and the realizations and the convergences. Let the full shape of it become visible before you decide what any of it means. You've earned the right to move at your own pace. And everyone who is coming back, they're going to have to wait for that pace. That's as it should be. If something in this touched something true, if a moment landed in a way that surprised you, I'd love to hear from you in the comments. Tell me what resonated. Even just a few words. It means more than you know.